Sigh. This person has many magical artifacts, numerous origins, and even the beasts are extraordinary. Not to mention the deep background and the rare primordial true body he has condensed. I can't provoke him, and I can't compare myself to him. Du Qing kept comforting himself, but he still felt quite aggrieved. Damn it, why am I so poor? It's just, I can't compare. The more Du Qing thought about it, the worse he felt. He had been flying for half a day, yet still couldn't see Wang Lin's figure ahead. This person is the chosen of heaven, just like those true disciples of major sects. I can't compare. However, everything I have, my cultivation and my magical artifacts, have mostly been gained through my own efforts. Although I don't have as much as he does, I can be sure that everything he has was granted by the grand heavenly venerable. Humph. He's just lucky. With this thought, Du Qing's heart felt slightly more balanced. If he knew Wang Lin's identity and background, and understood the hardships Wang Lin endured over 2,000 years of cultivation, Du Qing's sense of balance would probably be shattered. Because even if Du Qing were born in the cave abode realm, and given 2,000 years of time, with the fortune of the greedy wolf, he probably still wouldn't be able to achieve what Wang Lin had, let alone leave the cave abode realm. As time slowly passed, half a month went by in the blink of an eye. During these 2 weeks, Wang Lin had stopped a few times, waiting for Du Qing to catch up. After flying non-stop for half a month, the Mosquito King remained full of energy, without a hint of fatigue. After evolving and mutating several times, this mosquito had terrifying speed, so much so that even Du Qing couldn't keep up. Moreover, while flying, it could absorb the essence of the immortal firmament continent and breathe in a way similar to a cultivator. As a result, its speed increased, far outpacing Wang Lin himself by several times. Du Qing followed behind, looking quite disheveled. He hadn't rested for the entire half-month either and kept speeding ahead. Every time he saw Wang Lin and that terrifying beast, seemingly waiting for him for an unknown period, he felt even more frustrated. His gaze toward the mosquito beast was filled with disbelief. Throughout his life, he had seen many fierce beasts, but few possessed such speed. Sigh. He didn't bring out that golden seal earlier, just to mess with me. Now, looking at it, he clearly has methods to prevent me from catching up, yet he still deliberately lets me follow. This person is too cunning. Du Qing bitterly smiled. A few more days passed, and on the day Du Qing felt exhausted to the limit, Songlong's Sect was finally in sight. Looking at Songlong's Sect, Du Qing saw Wang Lin sitting calmly on the back of the fierce beast, not a hint of tiredness or panting, while the beast seemed as though it hadn't flown enough and was still in motion. Du Qing didn't know what to say. As the two neared Songlong's Sect, all the disciples of the sect emerged from their respective places, lifting their heads to look at the sky. The 3 elders who hadn't been sealed or suppressed quickly flew into the sky. At first, they thought the ancestor had captured the fierce person and was bringing him back, but when they saw the ancestor panting and Wang Lin looking calm, they were all stunned, not knowing what had happened. What are you standing there for? Hurry and greet my dear friend. This person is a close friend of mine and has helped our Songlong Sect greatly. I specially invited him here to express our gratitude. Du Qing's eyes widened as he swept his gaze over the disciples of Songlong Sect. With a flick of his sleeve, he cleared them all out of the way. Wang Daoist, please, please. Du Qing smiled and stepped forward to welcome him. This sudden change left all the disciples of Songlong Sect with strange expressions. However, the authority of the ancestor had already deeply influenced them, and they remained silent, watching as the ancestor led the fierce person to the distant sect's back mountain. This is strange. With the ancestor's personality, he would never let a grudge go without retaliation. The way he is acting now can only mean that this mysterious Wang person is someone even the ancestor fears, which is why he's treating him like a guest of honor. The middle-aged man who had lost his arms but had now regained his physical form thought, his eyes flashing as he analyzed the situation. The ancestor most likely fought with this person, but couldn't defeat him. The other 2 elders exchanged a glance, both of them stunned by the realization. Leaving aside the disciples of Songlong Sect for now, Du Qing led Wang Lin to the back mountain. While the area was indeed damaged, the mountain still stood, and the cave abodes inside remained intact. Inside the cave abode was quite luxurious, with with countless night pearls, each the size of a head, embedded in the walls, casting the entire place in a starry glow. Looking up, it resembled a starry sky. Inside, there were several stone chambers, for alchemy, closed-door cultivation, and everything a cultivator would need. Wang Daoist, the place is simple. I hope you won't mind. Please stay here for a few days. Once the mountain gate is rebuilt, we can move to a better place. Du Qing forced a smile, but in his mind, he considered the stone chambers quite good. The floor was paved with Haidong stone, which enhanced the gathering of celestial energies. The night pearls were not ordinary either, their starry glow helping one feel the vastness of heaven and earth. The alchemy room was even more luxurious, with everything that Du Qing had acquired through years of careful manipulation. Not bad. Wang Lin glanced around, unfazed by life or death, and sat cross-legged to the side. He looked at Du Qing and suddenly spoke up. Friend Du, I come from another continent. Do you know where the Earth-Fire main vein is located within the Heavenly Bull continent? The Heavenly Bull continent was vast, and Wang Lin's divine sense couldn't cover the entire area. It would take a considerable amount of time to search for the main vein. Upon hearing Wang Lin's question, Du Qing immediately understood his intention. After a brief pause, he sat cross-legged opposite Wang Lin and slowly spoke. The Heavenly Bull continent belongs to the fire element. Most of its earth veins are fire veins. It is said that these fire veins are connected in a formation that suppresses a heavenly ox from beyond the heavens. This ox possesses tremendous power, and it was slain by our immortal clan's ancestor at the beginning of the immortal astral law. Its body transformed into the Heavenly Bull continent, and its primordial spirit was suppressed beneath the fire veins. This is only a rumor, and for countless years, many have attempted to verify it, but no clues have been found. However, there is another rumor that says the earth fire veins are not arranged by our immortal clan, but rather are the meridians of that heavenly ox's body. According to this legend, the main earth fire vein you're searching for is the largest meridian that runs through the ox's entire body. There is a place within the Great Soul Sect where this vein is connected. Du Qing's voice grew quieter as he spoke the last sentence. He raised his right hand and waved, casting a restrictive formation around them. The Great Soul Sect is one of the 9 sects and 13 schools of the Eastern continent. It is filled with powerful experts, and its magic is beyond comprehension. Whenever speaking of this sect, precautions must be taken, just in case. Du Qing said cautiously, his voice low. My origin contains fire, and I have a strong connection with the earth veins. Every time I visit the Great Soul Sect, the flames within me are suppressed to the extreme. It seems there is a powerful will within the sect that forces all fire within it to submit. Based on my analysis, this should be where the earth fire main vein of the Heavenly Bull continent is located. I also know that the Great Soul Sect's ancestor, the Green Ox True Person, is highly powerful and has a primordial true body similar to yours. Du Qing's expression grew fearful as he spoke of the Green Ox True Person. Wang Lin's eyes sharpened as he took note of the name. With my cultivation, I can only serve as an outer sect elder in the Great Soul Sect. I have a fellow clansman who is an inner sect elder there. So with this connection, and my position as an outer sect elder, the Songlong sect will be protected. Friend Wang, you possess a magical artifact granted by the Grand Heavenly Venerable, so the Great Soul Sect will treat you as an honored guest. However, if you wish to disturb the earth fire main vein. Du Qing spoke subtly. Wang Lin remained unfazed. He only knew 2 individuals from the Great Soul Sect. Have you heard of 2 disciples within the Great Soul Sect named Fan Shanlu and Fan Shanmeng? Wang Lin looked at Du Qing. Fan Shanmeng. Du Qing's expression changed. I've heard of Fan Shanmeng. She's a core disciple of the Great Soul Sect and one of the twin carriages of the sect. Do you know her? I've heard of her. Wang Lin's eyes filled with contemplation. He shifted the topic and asked again. What about the Unity Sect? It's also in the Heavenly Bull continent. How does it compare to the Great Soul Sect now? Kong Ren's cultivation was not high, and his knowledge was naturally less than Du Qing's, so Wang Lin didn't know much. The Unity Sect is strong and has recently overshadowed the Great Soul Sect. The rankings of the 9 sects and 13 schools are likely to change. In recent years, a disciple named Yun Yifeng from the Unity Sect has emerged. His cultivation is extraordinary, and he is now the top expert in the Heavenly Bull continent, aside from the older generation. I've had contact with him. This person is not simple. Du Qing recalled the scene where Yun Yifeng had swept through the Great Soul Sect with a single sword, forcing several people to retreat. Speaking of Yun Yifeng, I remembered something. He once said that there is a person who has cultivated for over 2,000 years, and their cultivation is unfathomable. Even he, Yun Yifeng, wouldn't dare to draw his sword in their presence. Even the 4 great prodigies of the Eastern continent aren't worthy to carry their carriage. This caused quite a stir, and there were many doubts at first. But the Great Soul Sect rarely denied it, and even the Unity Sect didn't comment on it. Now, many years have passed, and this matter is most likely a fabrication. I don't believe that someone could. Du Qing paused as he spoke, but Wang Lin's eyes flickered with a sharp light as he heard the words. Who in the world could have cultivated for over 2,000 years and made someone like Yun Yifeng afraid to draw their sword? To praise such a person? If such a person really exists, wouldn't they have long been renowned throughout the Immortal clan and taken as a disciple by the Grand Heavenly Venerable? As Du Qing spoke, he suddenly stopped, as if recalling something. His eyes narrowed, and a bold thought shot through his mind. He gasped, looking at Wang Lin with a suspicious gaze. Since the Heavenly Bull continent has the Earth Fire vein, could there be a Thunder vein in the other continents nearby? Wang Lin steered the conversation away from Du Qing's previous topic. I really don't know, but I can inquire about it. Perhaps someone in the Great Soul Sect might know. After all, the Great Soul Sect is one of the 9 sects and 13 schools. Their disciples, when out training, often report everything they've experienced back to the sect, as it's part of their training. Du Qing replied, shaking his head. The Immortal Firmament continent was vast, and it was rare for anyone to have traveled across the entire Eastern continent. Du Qing himself had only visited 4 continents, including the Heavenly Bull continent, which he considered quite an achievement. Wang Lin nodded slightly, a look of contemplation crossing his face. After a moment, he looked at Du Qing as if casually asking, "Where is the Donglin sect located?" Donglin sect. Du Qing's expression became serious. After a brief pause, he spoke slowly. The Donglin sect, also one of the 9 sects and 13 schools, is located in the northern part of the Eastern continent, within the Great Sage province. It's said to be extremely mysterious, and their disciples rarely travel outside. After a few more questions, Wang Lin showed signs of fatigue. Du Qing, being astute, quickly realized and stood up to take his leave. Before leaving, he promised earnestly, "Don't worry, fellow cultivator. I will mobilize all the resources of the sect to search for the Earth-Fire branch vein and its child vein. If I can personally retrieve its soul, I will ensure a disciple brings it to you." Once Du Qing left, as he had promised Wang Lin, he immediately issued sect orders. 3 great elders, each a master of powerful arts, led disciples of the Zhonglong sect to scatter in 3 directions. Even the elder who had been punished and sealed in wood was released, given the opportunity to redeem himself by searching for the Earth-Fire branch vein and its child vein. Wang Lin sat alone, cross-legged in his luxurious cave abode, bathed in the light of the night pearl. His figure appeared surrounded by a faint mist, giving him an otherworldly aura. He kept his eyes closed in deep thought, the words Du Qing had spoken swirling in his mind. The Thunder origin also requires the condensation of a true body. I can't place all my hopes on the Donglin pool in the Donglin sect. After all, the memories of the 7-colored immortal sovereign, Su Dao, may be exaggerated, Wang Lin mused internally. The Thunder origin needs an enormous amount of thunderous power to condense a true body. Since there is an Earth-Fire vein on the Immortal Firmament continent, there must surely be a Thunder vein. But the most important thing now is to condense the Fire origin true body. It seems I will have to visit the Great Soul Sect personally, Wang Lin thought, his brows slightly furrowed. To him, the Great Soul Sect seemed like an enormous entity, difficult to shake. Du Qing mentioned that the ancestor of the Great Soul Sect has immeasurable cultivation, even having condensed a true body of the origin. Wang Lin massaged his forehead and sighed softly. My cultivation is still insufficient. But there are methods. Wang Lin's eyes gleamed. He thought of the Unity sect, especially that elder with the surname Ma, who knew the relationship between Xian Luo and himself. However, Wang Lin quickly dismissed the idea of seeking help from the Unity Sect. The uncertainties involved were too great, and Wang Lin's personality was not one to rely on others. I must rely on myself. Though difficult, if I can use the shrinking earth technique on the immortal firmament continent, it may not be impossible. Wang Lin thought to himself, closing his eyes as he began to focus on finding a way to merge with the heavens and earth using the shrinking earth technique. This technique was crucial for Wang Lin's future movements on the immortal firmament continent. Once regained, his chances of success would multiply as his divine sense spread out, slowly dispersing beyond the cave and into the surrounding world. Wang Lin found that no matter how hard he tried, he could not fully merge with the heavens and earth. At best, he could only integrate a small trace of his essence, and even then, it could only allow him to perform short-range teleportation, which was not what Wang Lin needed. It felt as though there was an invisible barrier blocking his fusion. This barrier was both a law of the immortal firmament continent and an invisible pressure. Under this pressure, it was extremely difficult for a person's divine sense to penetrate. It was unlike the abode realm, where there was no such barrier or pressure. In the abode realm, as long as a cultivator could comprehend the shrinking earth technique, they could easily merge with the world. But now, under this pressure, Wang Lin could not even penetrate it, let alone merge with the world and use the shrinking earth technique. Wang Lin vaguely understood that this pressure was not directed at him alone, but affected the entire immortal firmament continent. Thus, even Du Qing, with his cultivation, could not do it. Perhaps only after reaching a higher level of cultivation, at a certain peak, can one forcefully push through this pressure and move freely. Wang Lin thought after several days of trying, still failing to succeed. But he did not give up. Wang Lin's character had always been like this. The more difficult the situation, the more it stirred his resolve. His divine sense fluctuated within the Xun'er sect, constantly attempting to push into the overwhelming pressure. Time passed slowly, and in the blink of an eye, a month had gone by. During this month, Wang Lin had practically secluded himself, but his divine sense howled through the air, causing the disciples left behind at Xun'er sect to avoid approaching the back mountains cave residence. Du Qing had remained in Xun'er sect all along. The moment Wang Lin's divine sense first spread out, Du Qing had sensed it. After observing for a long while, he still could not figure out what Wang Lin was doing. It wasn't until several days of observation that he suddenly realized what Wang Lin was attempting. He wants to merge his divine sense with the heavens and earth, then move by blending with the natural world. This is impossible. Teleportation is possible, but his method clearly surpasses the distance that teleportation could cover. Only those old monsters who have reached the peak of void tribulation and are well-versed in the immortal astral law, whose cultivation can withstand this kind of pressure, could manage such a feat. Du Qing shook his head and stopped watching Wang Lin's actions. After a month, the disciples of Xun'er sect had not yet found the Earth Fire Branch Vein's child vein beyond Wang Lin's divine sense range. Not even the four elders could accomplish this. They were still searching further. Wang Lin had lost track of time, his divine sense repeatedly trying to merge with the heavens and earth without any sign of exhaustion. Failure after failure, he kept trying again and again. If one attempt failed, he would try twice. If two failed, then 10 times. Another 3 months passed. Wang Lin himself no longer remembered how many attempts he had made, yet the results remained unchanged. After 4 months, some of Xun'er sect's disciples had found a thriving Earth Fire Branch vein, though many others were still searching. Wang Lin remained stubborn, relentlessly trying the shrinking Earth technique. He had to find a way, or the subsequent plans would be impossible to execute. Du Qing had grown accustomed to Wang Lin's divine sense weaving through the Xun'er sect. Watching Wang Lin repeatedly try and appear unwilling to accept failure, Du Qing's heart slowly filled with disdain. He never expressed this outwardly, but the disdain only grew stronger inside him. This is simply impossible. This person is too stubborn, wasting all this time for nothing. If merging with the heavens and earth were that simple, wouldn't everyone be able to do it? Clearly, his cultivation is insufficient, yet he insists on doing this. I really don't know why the Grand Heavenly Venerable places so much trust in him. Foolish, Du Qing muttered, shaking his head. Time passed again, and another 3 months went by. Wang Lin had spent a full 7 months refining this divine ability in seclusion. He had almost forgotten everything else. Sitting cross-legged, his eyes were bloodshot, filled with veins, and his divine sense was tinged with irritation. Du Qing observed this and couldn't help but sneer. I really don't know whether I should say he's overestimating himself. Even if the Grand Heavenly Venerable values him, even with so many magical artifacts and fierce beasts, his actions now are truly reckless. I wonder how long he plans to keep trying before his expression changes when he finally fails. Du Qing's eyes flashed with contempt, though more prominently was envy. Why doesn't Du Qing have the Grand Heavenly Venerable's favor? Is it that the Grand Heavenly Venerable favors only foolish people like him? Du Qing couldn't accept this. 7 months passed, and what appeared to Du Qing to be a foolish attempt began to change his mind. Wang Lin seemed to have some kind of mental issue. Inside the cave residence where Wang Lin sat, his eyes were even more bloodshot. His divine sense had spread for 7 months without any rest. Even Du Qing could barely bear such pressure, but Wang Lin did not give up. He seemed to be continually trying to merge with the heavens and earth, but in reality, he was pushing himself to his limits. More precisely, he was driving himself by pushing his divine sense in this way, forcing it to connect with the clone growing within the stone shell of the void layer. After trying for several days, Wang Lin understood that with his current cultivation, he would never be able to shake off the pressure from the heavens and earth, no matter how long he tried, whether for 10 years, 100 years, or more. But he still had one final trump card, the clone that was growing. This clone was born from the immortal astral law, and could even be considered a part of the law itself. Therefore, the key to whether his divine sense could merge with the heavens and earth lay in this clone. However, Wang Lin's divine sense sensed that the clone was still in a deep slumber and could not be awakened. To awaken it, special methods were needed. For this reason, Wang Lin spent 7 months continuously scattering his divine sense, pushing himself to exhaustion, until his essence spirit began to show signs of withering. On the last day of the 7th month, as his essence spirit showed the first signs of withering, a brilliant light suddenly erupted from his eyes. Meanwhile, somewhere in the boundless and pitch-black void layer, between the cave mansion realm and the immortal firmament continent, within a massive stone shell floating in the void, Wang Lin's clone, who had been meditating and sleeping cross-legged, suddenly trembled and abruptly opened his eyes. At the moment his eyes opened, Du Qing, who had been sneering and ready to watch Wang Lin's misfortune inside Songlong's sect, suddenly changed his expression and once again revealed the shock he hadn't shown in 7 months. He stood up abruptly, his expression almost dazed, as if the scene he had just perceived caused him to forget to breathe. This is impossible. This disappearance wasn't a mere retreat. It was truly gone without a trace, as though it had merged with the heavens and earth. The change was so sudden that Du Qing couldn't fathom it, and he was completely unprepared. It happened so unexpectedly that he didn't even realize it while casually scanning for amusement. After a brief moment of daze, Du Qing staggered and rushed out of his position, spreading his divine sense as he headed straight for the cave mansion on the back mountain. Upon sweeping around the mansion, his body began to shake violently. Gone. Wang Lin, who had been sitting cross-legged for 7 months, had vanished. Du Qing had no idea. Wang Lin disappeared under his very nose, as if he had evaporated. This is impossible. This doesn't make sense. Du Qing stood on the peak of the back mountain, surrounded by grass, his expression blank. He muttered as he rubbed his eyes, unwilling to accept the situation. He spread his divine sense again, scanning the surroundings. Again and again, he found no trace of Wang Lin's divine sense. Impossible. His divine sense can't merge with the heavens and earth. Such a thing has never happened before. Only an old monster at the peak of the void tribulation could do this. He can't. Du Qing's face turned pale, his eyes filled with intense shock. He suddenly felt as if the past 7 months had been a dream. Are you looking for me? Just as Du Qing was unable to find Wang Lin and his mind was unable to accept what was happening, a calm voice rose from behind him. Du Qing's body trembled, and he spun around, his pupils contracting as he saw Wang Lin standing there in white robes, his expression composed, without a trace of disarray. Behind Wang Lin, layers of ripples seemed to appear faintly, quickly disappearing from view. You. Du Qing instinctively took a few steps back. Wang Lin's sudden appearance was so strange that he hadn't noticed a thing. If the other had struck just then, he would have been heavily wounded. Moreover, from Wang Lin emanated a chilling aura, a coldness that clashed with the Zhonglong Sect's atmosphere but lingered, making Du Qing feel as if a gust of cold wind had hit his face. The shock and terror in his eyes turned into fear, making Wang Lin seem incredibly mysterious and terrifying to him. Nothing. Most of the sect disciples have returned. We've found many branch veins and retrieved some sealed branch vein souls. Du Qing forced himself to suppress the shock in his heart and quickly spoke. Wang Lin casually glanced at Du Qing. Under his gaze, Du Qing instinctively lowered his head. Take them to the cave mansion, Wang Lin said slowly, stepping forward and turning into a streak of light, heading back to the cave mansion. After Wang Lin left, Du Qing breathed a sigh of relief. However, his doubts began to resurface, especially concerning the streak of light Wang Lin had transformed into when leaving. Impossible. He must not have merged with the heavens and earth, otherwise, he would have vanished the moment he left. His earlier disappearance was definitely teleportation, no doubt about it. This person must have failed repeatedly, unable to maintain his composure, so he ended things this way. Du Qing's thoughts became more certain, his expression gradually calming, even amused at the scene he had just witnessed. It was clear he had scared himself for no reason. I knew it. He couldn't have merged with the heavens and earth. He overestimated himself. Du Qing sneered inwardly, becoming more convinced of his reasoning. He flicked his sleeves and was about to leave when his body suddenly trembled violently. His eyes locked onto the patch of grass where Wang Lin had stood. His eyes widened in shock, an overwhelming horror flooding his mind. His mind roared like countless thunderclaps, and everything before his eyes vanished, leaving only the place where Wang Lin had stood. After a long while, Du Qing's face turned pale. He instinctively stepped back, his gaze shifting to the cave mansion on the back mountain, showing a look of fear and complexity. Not far from him, the patch of grass where Wang Lin had stood had a small amount of cyan snow on it. Under the sunlight, the snow emitted a faint crystalline glow and slowly melted away. Such cyan snow only appeared in the extreme western regions of the Heavenly Bull continent, on the Tianshan Mountains. Even if Du Qing rushed with all his might, a round trip from Zhonglong Sect to Tianshan would take several months. The snow of Tianshan, this person, a prodigy. Du Qing remained silent for a long time, murmuring these words. The moment he spoke, all of his disdain and contempt for Wang Lin over the past 7 months vanished without a trace. In its place, an endless mystery and unpredictability emerged. Subtly, a sense of fear began to grow in Du Qing toward Wang Lin. It had nothing to do with cultivation, but rather with a terrifying sense of the unknown, a dread of the mysterious. Inside the cave mansion on the back mountain, Wang Lin brushed off the coldness on his clothes and sat cross-legged. After 7 months, he had finally awakened the clone within the void layer. The instant his clone woke, Wang Lin felt an inexplicable insight. It came through his spiritual sense from the distant clone, and as it enveloped him, the barrier between heaven and earth that had troubled him loosened dramatically. It was as if the immortal astral law that existed within him was clearly broken at that moment, vanishing like it never existed. Various insights surfaced in his mind, seemingly clear, yet when examined more closely, they were still fuzzy. Wang Lin understood that this was because his clone was still in the process of growing. Once the clone fully matured, everything related to the immortal astral law would become crystal clear to Wang Lin. At the same time, the immense pressure, like melting ice, seemed to crack open invisible fissures, allowing Wang Lin's divine sense to merge completely, no longer forced in as before. All of this was thanks to his clone. The moment his divine sense merged with heaven and earth, Wang Lin's body disappeared, merging with the world itself. In that instant, he regained the long-lost feeling of shrinking earth technique, a sensation he hadn't experienced in a long time. With a thought, He appeared on Tian Shan, seeing the cyan snow falling from the sky. This first time using shrinking earth technique, Wang Lin had no specific direction. He simply walked, familiarizing himself with the surroundings. However, when he returned to Xun'er Sect, the image of Xun'er Sect was clearly imprinted in his mind, appearing right behind Du Qing on the back mountain. The whole process, from departure to return, took no more than the time for a stick of incense to burn. Had it not been for the cyan snow at his feet, Du Qing would have never known that Wang Lin had been to Tianshan. My clone has only been growing for a few days, and already it provides such great assistance. If more time passes, my clone will become the strongest body. Wang Lin had already realized this in his heart. It's time to go to the Great Soul Sect to absorb the main Earth Fire vein. But before that, I should absorb the other branch veins and child veins, to see just how far I can develop my fire origin true body. Wang Lin knew that the later stages would only become more difficult. The formation of the skull was no longer just about the fire origin. It required more, the will of fire. Du Qing came to pay a visit half an hour later, bringing back some earth fire souls retrieved by the sect's disciples, as well as a complete map of the Heavenly Bull continent. The map highlighted various locations where the earth fire branch veins and child veins were present. Wang Lin didn't hesitate, absorbing the earth fire souls directly. However, since the contained will was minimal, they did not significantly assist in forming his origin true body. But the jade slip with the map was very useful to Wang Lin. After taking the slip, he bade Du Qing farewell. Du Qing understood Wang Lin's plans, and though he couldn't participate, he wouldn't inform others. After all, he still had his own intentions regarding Wang Lin. More importantly, before Wang Lin left, he gave Du Qing a calm look. There was not a trace of emotion in his eyes. But as Wang Lin stepped forward, the ripples under his feet spun, and his body suddenly vanished before Du Qing. This sight was far more shocking than any threatening words. Du Qing's heart shook, watching Wang Lin disappear, before letting out a long sigh. What Taoist Du has helped with, Wang will remember. If there's an opportunity in the future, I will repay you, Wang Lin's voice echoed in Du Qing's ears after he left. 7 days after Wang Lin's departure, the earth fire branch veins throughout the Heavenly Bull continent began to rumble and collapse. Waves of flames spread across the continent, and even the air seemed to carry a searing heat, causing a slight irritation with each breath. As this phenomenon occurred in multiple locations across the continent, it gradually drew the attention of the sects within the Heavenly Bull continent. They sent out many disciples, or even elders to investigate, but they found no clues. When they arrived at the sites of the collapsed child veins, all they saw was rubble. Half a month later, Wang Lin's figure emerged from a mountain peak surrounded by black mist, where once stood a sect named the Seven Paths Sect. His expression was one of melancholy. This place was one he had to come to. Here, he felt the familiar aura of the cave mansion realm and the long-awaited waiting of Xianluo. Wang Lin stepped out of the black mist and glanced back at the mountain peaks within it. After a long silence, he sighed softly and turned away. Situ, Qing Shui, Li Qianmei, and all of you who have reincarnated, where are you now? Wang Lin's figure as he left was lonely, emitting an air of desolation. A day later, in the far west of Tianyou continent, within the territory of the Great Soul Sect, and at the location of Mount Tian, snowflakes of cyan hue fell. A white-haired young man dressed in white stood atop the mountain, his gaze penetrating through the falling snow, looking toward the other side of the mountain, west of Tianyou. From here, the peaks of the Great Soul Sect didn't seem too far, but in reality, even flying would take several days. This illusion was caused not only by the height of Mount Tian, but also by the ripples of energy emanating from the Great Soul Sect, creating a visual distortion. After a long while, Wang Lin closed his eyes, his divine sense slowly spreading out. Gradually, he felt beneath the mountains of the Great Soul Sect, there lay the main earth fire vein of the entire Tianyou continent. This vein spread out into countless branches, extending deep beneath the continent's surface. On this main vein, there existed an astonishing will of fire. This will was inviolable, and only at the peaks of the Great Soul Sect was it weakened by more than half. Even more, beneath the mountain of the Great Soul Sect, the main vein of earth fire, emerging from the depths of the earth, was exposed at the surface. It was not merely the gate of the Great Soul Sect, but the very manifestation of the earth fire vein itself. None of this was caused by artificial divine abilities, but rather the natural evolution of the heavens and earth. The choice of the Great Soul Sect's mountain gate was, therefore, extremely clever. Inside the Great Soul Sect, a vast vitality swirled. Wang Lin, scanning from the outside, could see that within the endless mountain range, there were no fewer than 100,000 cultivators. Though their numbers were great, they were well hidden in the mountains, making them invisible. Within these mountains, there also existed an overwhelming aura of origin, representing those who had reached the third step in cultivation. The Great Soul Sect of the immortal astral law continent, indeed very powerful. The power of a single sect could sweep through the cave mansion realm. Wang Lin's expression was calm, but his eyes revealed deep thought. If not for the fire origin true body, Wang Lin wouldn't have dared to provoke such a massive force. However, the earth fire main vein under the Great Soul Sect was incredibly important to him. Even if it was as dangerous as pulling a tooth from a tiger's mouth, Wang Lin would still attempt it. Over the past few days, he had absorbed many branches of the vein, and his body's fire origin had reached a point of saturation, where it no longer benefited his true form. He had anticipated this. After all, such powerful boosts were similar to cultivation pills. When one consumes too many pills of the same quality, their effect naturally diminishes until it is completely nullified. Unless he could ingest a higher quality pill, like the will of this earth fire main vein. With his eyes half closed, Wang Lin stepped forward, and without a sound, his body vanished in a flash, falling silently from Mount Tian toward the Great Soul Sect. As he moved, his figure flickered with every step, covering vast distances, almost like instantaneous teleportation, rapidly closing the gap. Several hours later, Wang Lin arrived at the mountains surrounding the Great Soul Sect, a journey that would normally take cultivators days. Here, the soul fluctuations in the air grew stronger, and he could sense the invisible force of repulsion, attempting to stop him from entering. Too bad the ghost face sail can't be retrieved from my storage space. Otherwise, perhaps I could enter the Great Soul Sect with it. Wang Lin paused, staring at the distant peaks and the crimson mountain within them. He sighed softly. His aura was completely hidden, no trace of it remaining. He appeared like an ordinary person, sitting cross-legged in the snow. He closed his eyes and waited. The moment his body settled into a meditative posture, his form began to blur, gradually transforming into a wisp of smoke, drifting unpredictably, circling nearby. The Great Soul Sect's gate formation was extremely powerful. Anyone who wasn't a disciple would be detected the moment they touched it. To enter, Wang Lin would have to wait for one of their disciples to leave, causing a fluctuation in the formation's energy. If it were an ordinary cultivator, they might choose to merge into the body of an outer disciple of the Great Soul Sect to enter the sect. However, this method has its drawbacks. Though it may seem like a good approach, the name of the sect, Soul, implies an extraordinary understanding of souls. After all, it wouldn't be possible for there to be so many illusions and divine abilities within the sect without such a deep comprehension of the soul. Thus, merging into the body of a disciple and entering the formation could result in Wang Lin being discovered before he even realizes it, as the formation would quickly detect his true identity. Such an attempt could only be made once. Wang Lin was unwilling to take that risk and waste the opportunity. He would rather trust in his own cultivation and understanding of restrictions. What he needed was only the moment when the formation showed signs of fluctuation. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. During these 3 days, 314 disciples entered and exited the formation surrounding the Great Soul Sect's mountain range, causing 314 waves of fluctuation. Each time, Wang Lin, in the form of smoke threads, refrained from acting rashly. Instead, he observed closely, using his understanding of restrictions to look for weaknesses in the formation. After all, Wang Lin carried within him the rare origin of restrictions. He wasn't anxious. He had enough time and patience, calmly continuing his observation. Another 7 days passed. During these 7 days, nearly 1,000 disciples entered and exited, and the formation's fluctuations repeated close to 1,000 times. Slowly, Wang Lin began to notice something different. The fluctuations in the formation varied depending on the disciple's identity. In this span of 10 days, Wang Lin observed over 1,000 disciples with different levels of cultivation. From them, he also saw changes unique to the disciples of the Great Soul Sect. For example, their souls, if compared to fire, were very vigorous and rarely showed signs of fluctuation. Even after 10 days, Wang Lin did not act. He continued observing. Then, after another 10 days, a day came when an outer disciple of the Great Soul Sect approached the formation. As the disciple's body merged into the formation, Wang Lin's smoke threads suddenly surged out. These smoke threads were invisible, appearing next to the disciple's body the moment the formation's ripple was created. As the disciple fully merged into the formation, Wang Lin's smoke threads immediately entered. At that moment of entry, Wang Lin's origin of restrictions expanded, counteracting the formation while rapidly simulating the transformations he had seen in the disciples over the past 20 days. In a few breaths, the simulation changed hundreds of times. When the disciple's figure emerged from the formation, unaware of the danger, Wang Lin's smoke threads also entered without causing any disturbance to the formation. Everything was hidden in the ripple created by the previous disciple's entry. Silent and unseen, Wang Lin's smoke threads drifted deeper into the mountain range. Along the way, he saw many disciples of the Great Soul Sect, each hurrying by without noticing his presence. Wang Lin was extremely cautious, occasionally halting his advance, gradually drawing closer to the deep red mountain peak. The closer he got, the more clearly the aura of the main earth-fire vein entered his mind. As he neared the peak, 3 long rainbows appeared in the sky, rushing toward the red mountain peak. The 3 figures within were 2 women and 1 man. Wang Lin had no time to observe them. He had seen too many such rainbows on his journey. But just as he moved on, suddenly, a powerful divine sense surged from the red mountain peak, rapidly spreading downward and covering half of the area. This divine sense was formidable, not something an ordinary cultivator could possess. It belonged to a strong practitioner who had survived 9 profound tribulations and entered the early void tribulation stage. What's more, the divine sense had a slightly feminine quality. This would be hard to notice without significant cultivation. The moment Wang Lin sensed the divine sense, he immediately judged it was a female cultivator. The divine sense spread too suddenly. Had Wang Lin not been alert, he would have been discovered in an instant. Almost at the same moment it expanded, Wang Lin's smoke threads swiftly retreated, just managing to avoid detection. However, the divine sense spread in a fan shape, sweeping across the area from the red mountain peak. Although Wang Lin evaded it temporarily, it wouldn't be long before he would be found. At that moment, the formation around the Great Soul Sect's mountain range reacted, and waves rippled out to lock down the area. This change took Wang Lin by surprise. Could I have been discovered? Wang Lin had no time to think. The divine sense was rapidly approaching, and in that instant, Wang Lin hurriedly retreated. With no time to avoid, he dashed straight for the 3 long rainbows coming from the sky. At the fastest speed, it immediately rushed into the body of the man among the 3. The reason it entered the man's body was not related to cultivation, but because the divine sense was dispersed by a female cultivator. Based on Wang Lin's judgment, women who had reached such a level of cultivation were generally proud. They would likely not be as meticulous when searching the bodies of male disciples, as searching would be no different from seeing them completely naked. Almost the instant the wisp of smoke transformed by Wang Lin entered the man's body, the divine sense howled in, sweeping across the man's body in a flash. It didn't stop, sweeping through and then spreading out towards the distance, covering the entire mountain range before slowly dissipating. Once the divine sense faded, the mountain range formation no longer held its seal, but resumed its operation. It's not that it detected my presence, but rather that the Great Soul Sect has a habit of periodically sending out divine senses for precaution. Wang Lin, having condensed into a vortex inside the man's body, was wrapped by the restrictions. What are you standing there for? Get moving. If you delay sending the soul rebirth fruit to the senior sisters, we won't be able to bear the consequences. A female cultivator's reprimanding voice came from beside the man.